Hello and welcome to another edition of The Frame, an initiative of Access Framingham. I'm Brendan Fitzpatrick. We begin tonight with an update on local education as the city's school committee gave the green light to the hiring of a new official. Dr. Anthony Pope has officially been hired as the Assistant Superintendent for Equity, Belonging, and Community Engagement in Framingham, following the school committee's unanimous approval. Superintendent Dr. Robert Tremblay recommended Pope for the job. Despite the unanimous endorsement from the school committee, public comments related to Pope were not as warm. Dunning Elementary School first grade teacher Sarah McKeon, who's also the school's equity champion, was joined by Framingham Teachers Association President Christine Mulroney in expressing concerns over Pope's history, while also calling for a delay to the hiring process. Back in 2012, Pope resigned as the school superintendent in Marlborough, following his decision to fire a reportedly popular high school assistant principal. Pope was also accused of pushing a guidance counselor that same year, though no charges were pressed.
Our district, unfortunately, has seen a handful of unsuccessful administrators, some who were appointed from within, and staff tried to communicate concerns and went unheard. And at worst, staff left this district because these other people remained largely unchecked. And sadly, I hear the same things about Dr. Pope and his approach with staff and students, especially if he was questioned or challenged.
In most of Dr. Tremblay's appointments, following interviews, there has been time for community forums for the community to meet the finalists prior to a candidate being recommended. This did not happen. In a position which has community engagement in its title, it seems odd that this type of forum was not made available.
Tremblay stood by his recommendation, citing Pope's candid nature and openness during the interviewing process, as well as his, quote, lived experience, end quote, something the superintendent saw as a trait making Pope ideal for this position. Pope also spoke during the meeting. He defended his dismissal of the assistant principal over a decade ago, as he claimed that it was in order to protect the child. He added that since that time, he's learned a wide range of lessons in order to grow as a leader. Pope said that he was eager to meet with local stakeholders to address all of the school district's needs.
One thing that I can guarantee you, you will get my best every single day. And I look forward to the journey and working with the superintendent and his team to make sure that we make all students feel like they belong.
Pope's contract was brought from a 3-year term down to just 1 year after feedback from residents was received by the school committee, though the group was optimistic that Pope can become a valuable member of the local education community.
Once you get to know the story, everything changes. And Dr. Pope, thank you for being here. Thank you for going through this process with a lot of courage, with a lot of transparency, and with a lot of humility. Those things are going to serve you so well in this role.
Keeping with local schools now, the search for Harmony Grove Elementary's principal continues, and officials are looking for the public's help in the process. Applications to join the principal interview committee are open now, as the school needs both an interim and permanent head. 3 or 4 finalists will be selected by the committee. All principal interview committee members will need to attend an orientation and anti-bias training session on February 27th from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. After that, interviews will be held from March 4th through the 7th from 4:30 to 9. Committee members will be required to attend all of those meetings from start to finish. Applications for the committee are due by February 2nd, while a survey for residents on the matter is also available online. The links to both that survey and the application are on the Frame's Facebook and X pages. In other news, the city is seeking assistance from the public for any details related to a 2-alarm fire that broke out at an apartment building along Route 9 early Monday morning. Crews were called to 1630 Worcester Road at around 3:50 a.m., according to Fire Chief Michael Dutcher. No firefighters were hurt, according to reports, while no residents were displaced following the incident. 4 people were taken to a hospital for evaluation before eventually being released, though the building's lobby as well as both of its elevators sustained damage. An investigation into the blaze is ongoing, though Dutcher said that preliminary findings suggest the flames were set intentionally. As a result, the Arson Watch Reward Program is making a $5,000 reward available to anyone who provides information resulting in the arrest of the person or people responsible for the fire. If you have anything to offer up, the Arson Watch hotline is 800-682 800-682-9229. Again, that's 800-682-9229. In a matter of days, Mayor Charlie Sisitsky will be making his State of the City address. The event will be held in the Memorial Building this upcoming Monday, January 29th. Residents are invited to join elected officials and other members of the community for the event, which will begin at 7 p.m. City Council Chair Phil Ottaviani of District 6 will serve as the Master of Ceremonies. The Pledge of Allegiance will be read by Purple Heart recipient Marty Nislik, while the national anthem will be sung by Framingham High School's a cappella group Total Eclipse. Reverend Aaron Stockwell Wisman of First Parish in Framingham will do the honors of delivering the invocation. The State of the City address will be shown live on the government channel for those who can't make it. An update now on the proposal to expand the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail into Framingham, as city officials recently announced that the project is eligible for federal funding. The city acquired a rail bed that was formerly controlled by CSX. With that, the plan is to extend the trail from Sudbury into the northern part of the city. Now, MassDOT's Project Review Committee has determined that close to $7.5 million in federal highway funding can be allocated for the extension. Mary Kate Feeney is the co-founder of Friends of Framingham Trails.
Hopefully this year we'll see some early designs on what that will look like. Sudbury will be finished with their part of the trail, hopefully by the fall of 2024, and that means it's showtime for Framingham.
From there, Framingham will work with the Boston Metropolitan Planning Organization to finalize scheduling and other factors related to the project, while also securing funding channels for costs related to design. That's a requirement for the federal money. More details on these stories and everything else you'll see on the program this week can be found on our website, www.theframe.news. You can stay up to date with need-to-know announcements and events going around the city on our website. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter as well so you can keep in touch with The Frame during the week. Coming up on The Frame, MassBay Community College is celebrating the grand opening of their new state-of-the-art facility here in Framingham. We got an exclusive look of everything it has to offer prospective students in anticipation of the college's ribbon-cutting ceremony next week. That's on deck, but first, we want to remind you that if you've got a tip for us, you can email us at theframe@accessfram.tv, or you can call our tip line, 508-216-0003. We'll be right back after these messages.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Welcome back to The Frame, as it's now time for our weekly focus. MassBay Community College is celebrating a ribbon-cutting ceremony on January 30th, that's Tuesday, for the grand opening of their Center for Health Sciences, Early Childhood, and Human Services facility. Located at the corner of Mount Waite Ave and Franklin Ave, the building is an exciting development for the college, whose Framingham campus had previously been housed in Framingham Public Schools' Farley building. The building will facilitate coursework of every kind, from Gen Ed classes to a long list of degrees and certifications offered within its state-of-the-art Health Sciences department. The Frame took a tour with MassBay's Dean of Health Services and President to learn more.
Well, I can tell you it's 68,500 square feet.
Greetings, we're coming on in on a tour.
What this building does, it allows people to enter a career path that they may not otherwise have thought of, that they may have felt was out of reach. And if you factor in things like Mass Reconnect, which makes community college free if you're 25 and older, it makes it within reach to climb out of where you are financially and get into a career that is in demand and that pays well. In human services, that means behavioral health and social work. In early childhood, it means becoming an early childhood educator. In health sciences, there are many, many fields. Of course, nursing is one of our most popular programs. radiological technology,
central processing, surgical technology, EMT, paramedicine, medical office, medical assisting, medical coding, fully online programs. We have a program for you if you want to go into health careers. Our goal when we were creating this was to make this look like you're actually entering into the wing of a hospital so that they get that feel, they start getting that muscle memory of what it means to be in this space. When I think about the health careers that are available, there's a shortage of health professionals everywhere. And for the college to understand that this is where we need to put our money, this is where we need to put our focus. We have spared no expenses to make sure that we are preparing them for the real world of work. This particular lab is designed so that the students are going to be around here in small groups. They're studying, they're talking to each other. When they leave this lab environment, this teaching, this training environment, and they go into our clinical sites, and that's exactly what they do, then there's not going to be this additional learning curve of, oh, how to use the better equipment, because they are being trained on that very equipment right now. These simulators, we call them high-fidelity simulators.
they can change the heart rate, the breathing. The patient can talk a little bit, say it hurts, dilate the eyes. The funding for this building also included funding for the newest, the latest state-of-the-art equipment.
Behind our one-way mirror, that's where with the control panel, making the mannequin do whatever the mannequin needs to do.
This is a place of opportunity. This is a place to change the trajectory of your life and your family's life. We are here to support our students. We know that sometimes they have challenges. They're often working, they have families. We're here to help them and to get them over the finish line. One of the things that we're really so delighted about is that we are here in the Framingham community where we started. When we were losing the Farley Middle School, we didn't quite know where we'd go. And what we found is the opportunity to stay in Framingham, to serve this community. And we're so delighted that we now have a permanent home in Framingham, and we're not going anywhere.
And 90% of the funding for this building came from an allocation from the state, in addition to funding from donors, foundations, and other stakeholders. The campus's doors are already open, and students began coursework there this past Monday. Again, the official ribbon-cutting ceremony is set to kick off at 9:30 a.m. this upcoming Tuesday. Let's look over to our forecast as we approach the weekend. Rain is likely for Friday, mainly during the morning hours. Cloudy skies as well, with highs in the upper 40s and lows in the low 30s. On Saturday, mostly cloudy with highs in the mid-40s and lows dropping down again into the low 30s. You can expect more rain on Sunday, especially after 9 a.m. A chance of some snow early on Sunday as well, with highs in the upper 30s and lows around 20 degrees. The Framingham Council on Aging, meanwhile, is calling for submissions to its 4th annual Senior Heroes Awards, and time is running out to submit your nominations. Framingham residents 60 or older are eligible, and 4 community members will be selected among those whose efforts in volunteering best reflect and contribute to the value of diversity and inclusivity in Framingham. Senior Heroes Committee member Brian Sullivan joined us in studio to share more.
About 4 years ago on the Council of Aging, there's a woman named Glenda Thomas. She was a Council of Aging board member, and she actually had the idea of trying to find ways of promoting seniors, recognizing them for some of these special acts that they're doing. And right now, obviously, diversity and inclusivity is kind of a much bigger topic. It's getting a lot more attention these days. And she actually had come up with the idea of let's do awards for seniors that really would give them recognition for past acts of volunteerism. You're not just nominating a senior. You're nominating a senior for doing things related to diversity.
And it honors multiple people in multiple different facets across the city. Could you tell us about some of those categories that the awards recognize?
There's 4 categories. There's arts, social development, health, public service. Arts is, what you think of arts, painting, poetry, and we're looking for someone, not someone who, we don't want to hear about someone who volunteers to draw a circle, but someone who volunteers maybe to teach a bunch of kids that might be disabled how to draw a circle. So it's along those type of lines. Same with, the social development. A lot of that tends to revolve around with kids, that tends to be more what we generally get from it's, whether it's soccer, baseball, youth organizations, what brings a diverse community together? Who's helping to make that happen? Public services, government type of things mainly, and health really is. There's a lot of folks who have different access to health. Some don't have it at all, and so there are people who are working to get everyone some amount of health care in the city. Irrelevant of your race, what you have for money, what language you speak, etc.
You see people being nominated for this. How important it is to recognize, what they're doing across Framingham?
Well, to me, it's a piece of good news. There are good things happening in town. It's not always doom and gloom, and that you're getting to, acknowledge that. And especially with seniors, a lot of these days, you talk about schools and the kids, and it's always kind of the kids that tend to get a lot more of the attention. It just seems like sometimes the seniors are forgotten. And even in COVID, we kind of saw that, right? When everyone was kind of getting shut in. And what we saw from some of the volunteers, or the write-ups we were getting on volunteers, was people helping folks that were shut in. So people really kind of were alone. For that, it was just, hearing that there were some people who were really going out there, taking their time, all volunteer time. They weren't being paid for it, and really kind of helping the other people in our community who needed help.
Right.
It's a good feel-good story, I have to tell you. And some of the folks have done some incredible things.
Right, and a great aspect of all of this, I take a look at it, you alluded to people being unsung heroes, doing things across the city. They're getting this recognition from their peers. It's people nominating based off of their own merit to receive these awards, which I think is a neat factor to all this.
Right, I would say a good number of the folks that win never knew they were even nominated. Like this, it was their friends, someone who volunteered with them. So they are very surprised. And as I said, most of them tend to be very, very humble and very, very almost embarrassed that they're being talked about or being noticed. For them, it's very normal for what they do, and they don't see what's so different about it. They don't see what's so worthy about it. These days, with social media, you're seeing lots of people posting selfies and doing lots of stuff on Facebook, and there were all this other group of people that were doing things in town that no one knew about. And to me, that was it was really finding the unsung heroes, which I kind of found kind of impressive. And the big point we'd like to make is we want people to tell us as much as they can. We give these awards based on what's written about them. Telling somebody that, oh, this person works great with a diverse bunch of kids, that doesn't really tell us too much. Give us details. Tell us how they've impacted different segments of the population.
The deadline to submit a nomination is February 2nd. If you have any questions or would like to learn more, you can reach out to fshawards@gmail.com. You can also visit the city's website at framinghamma.gov and search for the Framingham Senior Heroes Awards nomination form to make your submission. You can always look for us on social media to stay in touch with the Frame. Our handle for both on Instagram and X is @FrameNews_. Updates throughout the week can be found there. Also, subscribe to the Access Framingham YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new Frame episodes are posted. Visit our Facebook page as well by simply searching for The Frame. Up next on The Frame, the upcoming presidential primaries are right around the corner here in Massachusetts. What you need to know about voter registration deadlines, as well as the city's annual census. That's just ahead. Stay tuned.
Bring it.
Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one?
I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Welcome back. Let's see what else is happening locally as Lisa Ferguson, the city clerk for Framingham, is reminding residents to prep for two municipal matters: the upcoming presidential primaries as well as the annual city census. The primary election in Massachusetts is officially set for March 5th, but multiple avenues for voting will be made available for Framingham citizens. Ferguson reminded residents that they'll need to take the ballot for the party in which they're registered with. The deadline to register to vote in the primary or to change party alignment is February 24th at 5 p.m. On Election Day, polls will be open from 7 to 8. Early voting, however, will be held at the McAuliffe Library on Water Street, as well as the Memorial Building between February 24th and March 1st. Registered voters can also send a request for a mail-in ballot via mail, online, email, or fax. Those requests have to be in by 5 p.m. on February 27th and return to the Memorial Building by March 5th at 8 p.m. In regards to the annual census, Framingham residents with no changes to their household from 2023, which Ferguson notes is typically around 70% of all households, can reply to the census online. Forms mailed to all homes will have information on the online reply function, while residents can also call the city clerk's office to indicate there are no changes. Their number is 508-523-5521. Any households with changes from last year will have to sign and mail a paper form back to the city clerk's office. More details on the primary election, as well as the annual census, can be found on our website, www.theframe.news, as well as the city clerk's page on framinghamma.gov. Meanwhile, the Framingham Fire Department has a new deputy chief in Will Gringus. He was sworn in earlier this month as he takes over in the role for Paul Gilday, who retired at the end of 2023 after more than 10 years as deputy chief. Gingras joined the fire department back in 2001, reaching the rank of captain back in 2020. Chief Dutcher praised his work on a number of assignments, especially during Gringras' time on the rescue team. Deputy Chief Gingras will lead the Fire Prevention Division. And finally tonight, a solemn day of remembrance falls on Sunday, as January 28th marks the 38th anniversary of the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. 7 crew members boarded Challenger at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, including schoolteacher Krista McAuliffe, a Framingham native and a graduate of Framingham State University. Tragically, the shuttle broke apart just over a minute after lifting off, killing all 7 people aboard. City and university officials are inviting Framingham residents to observe a moment of silence at 11:39 a.m. on Sunday, the exact time of the tragedy back in 1986, in remembrance of those lost. McAuliffe's legacy lives on decades later, as her alma mater is preparing to reopen the Krista McAuliffe Center this weekend. Members of the community are invited to an open house at FSU taking place on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. to tour the newly renovated space. Next week's edition of The Frame will take a closer look at the offerings there. The center will also hold a Day of Remembrance event on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Additionally, The Frame's Mackenzie Wright sat down for an exclusive interview with a former student of Krista McAuliffe, Kevin Swope, who reflected on Krista's legacy within the Concord, New Hampshire school district where she taught, and here in her home of Framingham. You can watch that story on next week's episode of The Frame. Access Framingham allows us to bring you our coverage here at The Frame. Access Framingham is an independent nonprofit 501c3 that provides low to no cost training and creative opportunities in broadcast television, podcasting, animation, and video making. All residents, students, organizations, and businesses in the city are eligible to become members. Whether you're looking to learn something new, hosting your own show, being around creative people, or getting more involved in the community, you can join Access Framingham today by visiting www.accessfram.tv. Access Framingham can be found on RCN Channel 3, RCN HD Channel 1100, Comcast Channel 9, and Verizon Channel 43. That's all the time we have for this week's Framingham News in Focus. For everyone here at The Frame, we want to thank you for spending time with us tonight. My name is Brendan Fitzpatrick. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.